Hello everyone. We're going to be going over the ReWrite wrap. This is the basic instructions for how to do the ReWrite wrap using the watermelon question. You're going to need the ReWrite wrap instruction sheet, which I've provided for you. These instructions are very simple and will hopefully help you learn how to do the ReWrite wrap for the first time or help you to practice rehearsing it in order to teach it to me in order to check out. The ReWrite wrap goes like this. First, dictionary, then cut or circle, paste it or change it, rewrite, rewrite. Can you disprove it at all, or can you prove it all? Then that's the one, done. If you notice in the second stanza where it says, can you disprove it at all, there's an emphasis there. That's there for a reason, so be sure that you put your emphasis on those words when you rehearse it. Also, can you prove it all is another important phrase. We will go over that later in the lesson, but for now, it's important to know that you emphasize disprove it at all and prove it all. In order to practice using this strategy for the first time, we're going to use a simple example I like to use in my class. It's called the watermelon question. So let's pretend we're taking the star. We just read a story about a boy named Angel and how much he likes watermelon. Then we read this question. In the narrative, Angel noted which fruit was delectable. Answer A, an orange. B, a fruit called watermelon. C, a red and green fruit with black seeds. Or D, a giant melon with a red inside and a green outside called a grape. First dictionary is the first line of the ReWrite wrap. During this step, you look for words that you don't know and you put a line through them. In the narrative, Angel noted which fruit was delectable. Noted is probably not a word that everyone knows, so we're going to put a line through it. The next word in this question that we might not know is the word delectable, so go ahead and put a line through that. This step is very important to complete for both the question and the answers of a problem. No matter whether or not you're doing the whole ReWrite wrap for the question that you are currently doing on the star, you should do this step for all questions. If we look over answer choice A, we see the words an orange. Those are words that we're familiar with. B, a fruit called watermelon. Also words we're familiar with. C, a red and green fruit with black seeds. D, a melon with a red inside and a black outside called a grape. All of these are words that we're familiar with, so we don't need to put a line through any of these words. Now that we put a line through those words, it's going to be your job to look up the words in a dictionary that you have in class. Now that doesn't only mean the student dictionary. This is actually probably the hardest reference tool for you to use. I recommend starting with the student thesaurus. The student thesaurus has a list of words for each word, and they all mean the same thing as the word you look up. So that's a really easy way to just quickly replace a word. You can look through the list of words, and if there's a word that you know, you can use that word instead. Also, if you speak Spanish as your first language, the Spanish-English dictionary is permissible for anyone to use, not just English learners. So if you're comfortable with Spanish and English, it might be easier for you to just look up the word. So first dictionary actually means first dictionary, thesaurus, or Spanish-English dictionary. Use the thesaurus or one of those dictionaries to look up the marked words. You're going to replace them with easier words. The marked words were noted and delectable. Noted, you'd find, is the same as said. Delectable, you'll also find, means delicious. We've completed the first step of the ReWrite wrap, which is first dictionary. The next step is then cut or circle. In this step, you're going to circle words that you use in everyday life. but put an X or a line over the words that you wouldn't normally use. You should not at this point be putting a line or an X over words that you don't know. All of those words should have been taken care of in the first dictionary step. In is a word that you use in everyday life. No matter who you are, you know this word. Same with the. Narrative, on the other hand, is probably not what you would say. If you come home and you're like, Mom, I've got this crazy story to tell you about school, you wouldn't say, Mom, I have this crazy narrative to tell you about school. You'd say story. So let's not use narrative here either. The whole point of the ReWrite Wrap is rewriting the question in a way that is more comfortable for you, but means the exact same thing as the more difficult question. Angel is the name of the character, so of course we're going to keep his name the same. We already know that noted is not comfortable for you because you didn't know it, so there's a line through it, so we can skip that one. Which is a word used. Fruit is a word you'd use. Was is, of course, a word you would use. Delectable also already has a line through it. We're done the then, cut, or circle step. The next step is paste it or change it. Now we have our circled words and our crossed out words. We're going to paste the circled words and change the crossed out words to make a new question. So for the circled word in, we're going to paste it into our new question. The, we're also going to paste. Narrative, we're going to change because we do know that word, but it's not a word you'd use in everyday life. So we're going to change it to something more comfortable for you that means the same thing. In the story, Angel, paste it. Noted, change it to said. Which, paste it. Fruit, paste it. Was, pasted. And delectable, we're going to change it to delicious. Now, you have a question that you wrote. It's going to be way, way easier to answer. In the story, Angel said, which fruit was delicious? Now that we're finished with the first stanza of the ReWrite Wrap, it's time to work on the second. This step tends to be the most difficult for people, so it's important that you rewind any part of this video that you don't understand and watch it again, particularly this part. The first line of the second stanza of the ReWrite Wrap is, can you disprove it at all? The two words that are the most important words, at all. Why is that so important? The people who make the test have some tricks that they use to confuse you. These are not the only tricks they use, but I am going to share with you 3 of their very best tricks, their trickiest tricks. Trick number 1. The bad answer isn't in the story. Trick number 2. The bad answer says some of the same words or has close to the same idea, but the author meant something a little different than what the test is asking for. Trick number 3. The bad answer is correct except for one part. Let's see if we can find any of those 3 tricks here in this problem. In the story, Angel said, which fruit was delicious? Starting with answer choice A, we have an orange. Are any of those tricks present here? Now remember, those 3 tricks are not the only 3 tricks we're looking for, but those are the most common, and so we'll start with those. A, an orange. This is a classic case of trick number 1. The bad answer is not in the story. The story is about how much Angel likes watermelon. It doesn't talk about oranges, so we've disproved that answer. Put a D for disprove by the answer you disprove, because we can disprove it. So there you go. You're going to mark a D by your answer choice that you've disproved. Let's read the question again. In the story, Angel said, which fruit was delicious? The next answer choice in line is a fruit called watermelon. Now, we're only looking to disprove 2 answers out of the 4 answer choices. A fruit called watermelon, if you recall, Angel loves watermelon in the story. Now, that answer sounds kind of funny. Nobody says a fruit called watermelon, so you kind of don't like it and you don't know why when you read it, but that's not a good enough reason to disprove it. So let's look for another one for sure can disprove. Answer choice C says a red and green fruit with black seeds. Again, Angel said that watermelon was delicious in the story. So, a red and green fruit with black seeds might not be the best choice to disprove. It'll be probably very hard to find proof that that is incorrect. Moving on to answer choice D is a melon with a red inside and a black outside called a grape. Let's look back at the tricks and see what we can find. Trick number 3. The bad answer is correct except for one part. There's nothing in the story about grapes. Even though it's a giant fruit with a red inside and a green outside, doesn't mean the answer's right. Because there's one word that's wrong. Grapes. There's no grapes, so this is not the right answer. In the story, Angel said which fruit was delicious. He did not say a grape. So again, we put a D for disprove by the next answer we disproved. For the second stanza of the rewrite rap, we've already done line 1. Can you disprove it at all? Now we're going to answer the second question in the stanza, or can you prove it all? This one is really important because we're looking for every word in the answer to be correct. Every time you move on to another answer choice, it's very important that you take the time to read the question again. I know it's annoying, but oftentimes you get so busy thinking about the answer to your question that you actually forget what the question even is. And so, for the 3rd time, you should read the question. In the story, Angel said which fruit was delicious? B, a fruit called watermelon, or C, a red and green fruit with black seeds. We're looking for the best answer to the question in the story. Angel said which fruit was delicious? Remember the line to the rewrite rap poem, can you prove it all? Which one can we prove all of the answer? Now, as much as you may want to choose C, because a red and green fruit with black seeds describes a watermelon very well, and a fruit called watermelon sounds kind of weird, which answer best answers the question, which fruit was delicious? A red and green fruit with black seeds, it does not say which kind of fruit it is. But a fruit called watermelon, there's nothing wrong with any of the words in that answer. It answers that question exactly right, even though you would never say that answer that way. You know the meaning of all the words, and it clearly answers the question in the story. Angel said which fruit was delicious. On the other hand, question C never says which fruit it's talking about. I hope that you decided to choose a fruit called watermelon because, if you think about it, a red and green fruit with black seeds could also be an apple. Apples can be colored red and green on the outside, and on the inside they have black seeds. So remember, choose the best answer The best answer will always, always be the one that you can prove for sure. And in this case, it is answer choice B. I'm very happy to tell you that if you understand this lesson that you have just watched, then you know how to do the rewrite rap. So good for you.